Welcome to Straight Outta Savannah, where the magic happens. And I am so excited to introduce my guest, Lori Angela Nagel. She helps intuitive entrepreneurs to generate more leads through audience growth, networking, and collaborations. She specializes in growing Facebook groups, but audience growth principles apply to many things. She's an intuitive guide. She helps other intuitive entrepreneurs get out of their own way when it comes to the lead generating activities so that they see what they need to do and hold them accountable for doing it. She does this through reading the tarot cards, guiding you to your own answers, and helping you implement proven strategies when it fits your business. She is a regular host of networking events. Her group interview entrepreneurs about their networking journey. Networking is possible for you, whether you are just starting out or have been doing this for a while. So her links will be in the description and the show notes. You'll be able to connect with her there. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about how you began your journey. What was the catalyst for you starting to do this and what you were doing before this and how that transitioned into now?
Before this, I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have a regular 9 to 5 job. My now ex left me, and that's when I decided to get serious because I had trained as a coach before and get online and on social media and learn all of the marketing stuff. I realized that it can be challenging to put yourself out there and get comfortable being uncomfortable. I realized that my purpose was to help other people do that as well and to show that it's actually possible to do that. It's actually possible to grow your audience, to start conversations, to do networking without burning out. Because, especially for a lot of intuitive entrepreneurs, sometimes they get uncomfortable with showing up, with showing their face, maybe fear of rejection or just not being used to doing it. But it's not something set in stone for you. It's something that you can change. And also you can change the way you do it so that you do it in a way that's more aligned with you. So when you're already doing the networking, it's saying, okay, which events make the most sense for me? Who do I need to follow up with? And just getting clarity on all of that stuff. So you get the most out of it. And same thing with your social media audience growth. It's not about doing more. It's about being deliberate with what you do and showing up in the places that make sense for you. Because it's not a one size fits all.
So, what sent you in this direction? I can understand everything that you said because being a spiritual entrepreneur myself, I have had seasons where I just drop out, get discouraged. For me, I've battled depression most of my life. You do the things, you get the coaching and all the stuff, you do what people said, and then it doesn't work because why? It's not your energy. I can understand that. So, what gave you the idea to go in this direction to help people with their visibility?
When I first learned coaching, way before I got serious about my business, I thought I would coach everything. I didn't want to niche down. I was going to do careers, help people with caregiving because I took care of my grandma after she passed away. It's going to help with anything and everything. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then after my ex left me, I'm like, I want to really help people, support people in the goals and dreams that the people around them don't support. If you have a goal and a dream and nobody around you even knows how to help you, I want to help you achieve it. I had a few sessions and I realized that I didn't have the tools to help these people because what those people really needed is they needed to network. Just being asked questions and finding your own answers is great, but if you're not meeting people who have the skill sets, who have the network, who have all of the things that can help you be successful, that comes from networking, not sitting in a session with a coach and you have to get out there and talk to people.
Yes.
And when I had that realization, it was like, okay, this is who I'm meant to help. This is how I'm meant to help them. And then it was like refining on that because I've loved tarot for a long time. I've been doing it since I was a teenager, reading for myself, reading for others, but I didn't see how I could apply it to the coaching. And then I realized when I do a reading, I can ask people questions that help them get to the root of what's blocking them a lot quicker than just asking questions, because the tarot taps into those deep unconscious archetypes that everybody has,
Yes.
because it helps people see where they are differently, look at their problems differently, and see things in a new way, especially when I interpret the cards the way that I do. A lot of it resonates. That's how I got into doing what I do, not so much because I thought I was good at it, but because I know that it's needed.
That is perfect because I have learned in my own life that sometimes it's not what you think people need, it's what they really need. And like you said, the tarot really does open up. So you use tarot as a tool to help entrepreneurs to get out of their own way. What does it look like when intuition meets strategy, and how does that shift the way you approach business growth?
Here's the thing I do 20-minute discovery calls to help people find another strategy that works for them. And the thing that people specifically need help with is often different for everyone. Somebody might need to do more market research and connect with people they've already connected with. Or they might find out, hey, I've only been networking in these masterminds and groups I've already paid for. I can go to free networking events too. The strategies are attuned to where the person is in their business. I'm not going to tell a newbie who's never networked before, oh, you've got to contact your list of 200 friends. An expert who has done a ton of networking, yes, I'm going to point them in that direction. But for somebody just starting out, it's obviously going to be to network more and show up in more places. That's why I asked the questions before, to know where people are on their journey
Yes.
so that we can gear the questions that I ask so that they can get answers that make sense for them. I've done a lot of these strategies myself, but sometimes it's not even about stuff I've done myself, because people have completely different networks than me and they might
Well,
know a lot of people and stuff that I don't know, but it's pointing them in the direction of what they already know they need to do
yeah.
and maybe aren't doing. So it goes right into the strategy. It very much applies to your business. And the important thing is figuring out a concrete strategy that you can actually use and take action on.
I love that because to me, that would mean that it's personal. It's not a one size fits all. So many coaches have that mindset. Oh, you just 5,000 people that are in my program or whatever can all do this same thing. When it's just not, it doesn't even make sense because we're all different. And then we all do things differently. And also to me, it sounds like when you help people, you also motivate them.
Accountability is a big part of all of my offers, really, because the biggest struggle that people have isn't so much knowing what to do, it's actually going and doing it.
I think the times when I did different programs and I got a lot out of it and I understood it, and then I can apply it to myself and the way that I do things because we're all individual and we all even think differently. So when you can take those strategies and apply them to how you do things or what it is that you do, I think that's the win. I do have a question. Networking, it can feel intimidating for those of us that are sensitive and empathic entrepreneurs. How do you help them transform that fear into authentic connection and visibility?
I know what has worked for myself, and that is to just get out and do it. Last week I was sick, so I did not go to the networking events that I normally go to. But if I feel like, oh, I don't want to go because, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm going to talk to people, I'll go anyway, because I tell myself, like, hey, I need to go. It's not about, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I'm going to go. The other thing is, as you do more networking, there's obviously a time limitation on networking. So you don't have to go to every event. Pick the ones where you're more likely to meet people that you connect. You may drop networking events where you tried it out and you realized it wasn't for you. You don't have to stick with it forever. It's so important to try it out and to try out new things that you may not even think that you're going to just try it and see. You're just trying it out. You're not stuck with doing that particular event forever. Just do it. The other thing that really helps for networking is having a message statement, which is something I have on my YouTube channel so people can watch the video.
Wow.
It goes into things you should have in your message statement. So when you get your 30 seconds to introduce yourself at bigger networking events, but for those big events where you only got a minute, you have a statement that's enough to get people to book that coffee chat and want to follow up with you. So they have enough information to decide, do I want to have that 15 to 30-minute conversation with this person? It's not pitching your master class. It's just enough information to spark that curiosity. My way is not the only way. There's lots of different ways to do this. But if you just go say, I'm a life coach or something really generic, you're not going to stand out.
Yep.
So you get more specific about who you help, how you help them.
I think that's something that a lot of people start out in business and they don't know, because everybody talks about that elevator pitch, but not a lot of people really explain so that it makes sense to people. They're, oh, this is your elevator pitch. And I actually was in a little challenge where the lady was like, okay, so what do you do? Somebody said, oh, I help people. She said, stop right there. No. She goes, that's not it. I was like, what do you say? She went into a whole nother thing about it, but I thought that was so interesting because every other thing that I've been to, that is what they tell you. I help sensitive entrepreneurs learn how to network so that they can grow their business or whatever. How do you actually help people to understand the importance of having their, what did you call it, the mission statement? Not mission statement.
I just call it depending on the context, I'll call it like I don't know why, it's just evading me. But a lot of the people I work with are way past that, so they don't need that. But if they do need that, I can point them in the direction. A lot of times by the time they're working with me, they've been doing all these things and burning out. They don't need help with everything. They just need help to not burn out anymore.
So that sounds like most of the people that you work with is ones that have already done all the things. They've been running around in these internet streets all this time. And after a while, you start burning out because you're doing all the things that people tell you to do and posting 150 times a day and all this kind of stuff. Once they get to you and they get to understand that you don't have to do it that way, right?
No, you don't. It's not about putting in more hours. It's being more strategic with the time that you put in. So that doesn't mean, oh, you do nothing now. It means you look at what you're currently doing and say, okay, does this fit where I am now? And sometimes people outgrow groups and communities that they've been in, and
Yes.
maybe it's time to move on from some of it too. But I'm not going to tell somebody who's just starting, oh, you can just not do anything. You have to be more strategic. Because I know Facebook only has 5,000 friends. There's people who haven't logged in for a year. I'm going to press the unfriend button so that I have room for the people who are there and who are commenting on my posts. So there's a certain amount of not trying to do everything, of saying, okay, what can I do? What fits my schedule? What fits my business? And the other thing with social media too is the doom scrolling. So it's when you're on there being deliberate about what
Yeah.
you're doing, like what post you're commenting on. You're not trying to look at everything.
That's important because I know I've been there, been through that, where you're on Facebook and you're just looking at all kinds of stuff. And now I'm very intentional because I limit my time on the devices just because it's better for my mental health. So I know that I'm only going to be on there for a short time. I'm not going to be all day, none of that. I have other stuff that I'm doing and that makes more sense to myself and my business. And I think that to me, that is a game changer. When you realize you're not looking to serve everyone, you can't serve everyone. There's what, 10 million people in the world or something like that? Speaking to a particular person or a particular archetype is needful. I started talking to women in midlife about midlife reinvention and spiritual authority. And that has really shifted things for me. I didn't even notice until I started looking. And then I had people in my community coming up to me in the store and saying, "Hey, are you Tammy?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "I read your posts. Oh my God, you're speaking out of my head." That was not something that happened to me in the past. So that little thing to me is, wow, just getting that point across to people that no, you're not talking to everybody. And if other people read it and see themselves or whatever in it, great. But these are the people that you're talking to. I used to wonder about that niching down thing. I used to hate when people would say that. And I say, why do I have to niche down? But now I realize that you can't talk to everybody. It's too many people and it would be too confusing. You specialize in growing Facebook groups and creating collaborative communities. What role does community play in midlife reinvention, especially for spiritpreneurs who are redefining success and leadership? I see a lot of that on there. People who are redefining what success means and leadership as well. A lot of women are coming from corporate America and they're deciding to lead that and reinvent themselves, or they may have been a stay-at-home mom at one time and they're deciding to make that shift. What do you feel like that community, especially since you're specializing in helping people to network and grow Facebook groups, play in that role?
Yeah, community is really important. And for a long time, I didn't think of it as super important. I didn't think of it as something that I needed or even wanted. Like being spiritual, everybody does things a little differently. And I didn't want that tension of I'm doing it this way and you're doing it this other way. I didn't want to be a part of that. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to be on my own and not focus on the community building aspect of it. But after my ex left, I realized the importance of community. And for me, the importance of me learning how to grow a community because I felt so alone. Like nobody's really going to understand what I've been through or my life. If I want people to really listen to me, I have to create a space where people are comfortable opening up and talking about themselves and where diverse perspectives are acknowledged and listened to because everybody's coming from a different place. When I realized the importance of that, that was probably the biggest factor in growing that community because that wasn't something that I had really focused on when I was younger to really focus on building, especially around spirituality. I was involved in some internet communities, but I didn't see the importance of it until after my ex left. And then I realized it is important to have these conversations, even when they're uncomfortable. And it is important to grow a community. And that doesn't mean one guru standing up on a podium and say, this is how you do things, this is how things are. But the important thing is to ask questions because you don't know all the answers. You might think you do, but you don't know how somebody else perceives things or what they experienced. The questions really create the community because then everybody wants to respond, tell their story or talk about how they do things or their experiences. And I realized one of the things I learned from coaching is that I love asking questions. I always have. And I'm like, ooh, I can apply the asking questions, a skill set I already have and I already love to do. I can apply that to building communities because people love to answer questions. It's finding the right questions. And for every community, that's going to be a little different. Where are people interested? What is an interesting question where people can get a little more vulnerable, but not where they feel like they're oversharing? And that's going to be different in different spaces, but it's finding out what do people want to answer. So I ask a lot of questions. Not every question I ask lands. Sometimes there's zero comments. But that's okay because I've got hundreds more. It's not about every single post lands or every single question lands. What does land and what can we have a deeper conversation about? So that's how I got into building communities. And that's why I say it's not just on Facebook. You can do this on school. You could do this on other platforms. You can do this in person, but it's all about asking those questions. It's what I do at my networking events too. I usually have at least a few questions to ask people and to reflect on. And we always have some interesting conversations and aha moments because the questions.
I love that because I was like you. I'm an introvert. People always think that I'm an extrovert because they see me on Facebook and YouTube and doing the lives. But no, I am an introvert who has taught herself to extrovert when the need arises. I was in some different communities that were toxic. So after that, it's like, I don't want to do that. And people would invite you to things. And you're like, I don't think so. What I learned is that sometimes you just have to take that step back and then you have to see the magic and then set intentions for what it is that you would like to accomplish. And so that has really been a game changer for me. All right, so we are coming to the end of this interview, and I wanted to ask my last question that I ask everyone else. If there was anything in the world that you could change, what would that be and why?
It's easy for me to know the answer, but the harder thing is to explain why it's so important to me and why it matters. Because a lot of people think the opposite on this, and that would be to end the income tax. And I live in the US, so I know for other countries it's different, but a lot of them have these types of taxes too. But the thing with income taxes, they're taxing you on being productive. I think it discourages entrepreneurship, but even worse, it discourages people from wanting to be productive at all because you're like, it's going to go for things that I know are not helpful to other people, wars I don't agree with, things that we shouldn't be doing. For me, it started early on. My mom, every time she would have to fill out all these forms when I was a kid, she got so upset. And I would see this. My parents did not hire people to do it. They did it themselves. Every time that time of year came up, it was always very toxic. When I talk about ending that, I'm talking about ending everybody else. I'm not a big fan of taxes, but the income tax is specifically very bad because of all those other things. It punishes people who didn't have that consistent income, where some people might make a big income 1 year and nothing for a long time. And then it's like those people are punished because they didn't have that steadiness. There are just so many reasons that I think it should be eliminated. There have been societies that did not have it that were very successful in the past. So it's not like people say, oh, you always had the income tax. No, they didn't. There were lots of societies that did not have an income tax. So it is not a requirement to have a society to have that. So it's not needed. I feel like it was put in there somewhere and it's something that we need to
Readdress. I agree completely and totally because it's like they just put it in there and I have owed income taxes for 13, 15 years. And it's just crazy. Like I've been paying on income taxes for that long. And it's like, can we get a break? And the other thing is too, just like you said, they go to different things that are not helping us as a country or as a people. And it just puts way too many dollars in people that already have many dollars. And it doesn't help the people that really the middle people. Because the ones in the bottom, they get the taxes back because they didn't make any money. But I believe it probably discourages even some people because they're like, oh, if I make all this money, then I got to give so much to the government. I see that. I listened to somebody talking in the Netherlands, Sweden, someplace over there. And they were talking about how they don't do that. They just pay like a straight tax, for everything. They get their health care, the things that they don't give us. They get that it includes their health care, and they don't have to do this thing that we do. Play these games is what I say every year. Because that to me that was the most nerve-wracking thing to do when I grew up. Because like your parents, my parents were the same. They would be so stressed out at tax time. Oh, we gotta find all this stuff, and oh, we gotta make sure we got all these receipts, and oh, did we got to get the thing from the church? Oh my God, why do we have this? I started asking that when I was about 10, and nobody has explained it to me yet, where it made sense.
Yeah, well, I kind of studied the history behind it a little bit, and I found out it was added in 1913.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so actually, we didn't have it because mostly the country ran initially on tariffs, so they would tax the import, but not income. Like
Like,
that
not
was did later.
that's a shame. And that's good to know because I thought that was something that started when they did the Constitution and all that. I
No,
didn't know it
no, it was later.
in our time. Wow, that's good to know. So we're gonna land this plane. Lori, give the audience whatever last tidbits you want to, and then share the best place that they can connect with you.
I can mostly be found on Facebook, and I have groups on Facebook, but also add me on LinkedIn. Sometimes Facebook has given me a hard time, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have another platform to connect on. I also have a YouTube channel where I do interviews myself.
I recently found out that you can message people on YouTube. A couple days ago, it popped up, and I went, "What? You can message people on YouTube? That is amazing." So you don't have to wait for Facebook and LinkedIn and all those places. I'm like, that is a game changer. So I'm sharing that. So if anybody else is interested in that, they can see that you can message people on YouTube. Perfect. So this has been amazing conversation. I have enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Lori, for coming. And I hope to see you soon. You've been listening to Straight Outta Savannah, where the magic happens. Stories of reinvention, spiritual authority, and the courage to rise. May these words remind you that your path is sacred, your voice is medicine, and your magic is already here. Until next time, keep shining, keep creating, and keep walking your intuitive path. Straight Outta Savannah, where the magic never ends. Bye now.